सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यस्य प्रसादादहमेव विष्णु मय्येव सर्वं परिकल्पितं च इत्थं विजानामि सदात्मरूपं तस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। Shri Gurubhyo. So, continuing that argument, and I don't think we will spend much time on discussion anymore. In one class you can't take one verse. That is too much. Gadadishu plineshu gadakashadayo yatha akashe sampriliyante tadvad jiva iha atmani. So just as Atman alone is reflected in the mind-intellect equipment as the jiva. So when the mind-intellect is transcended or it has become quietened in deep moments of meditation, or even in deep sleep, not only in meditation, even in deep sleep, jiva is not there at all. Jiva is there or what? We don't know, but we are not aware. We are not aware of the experience of the joy of sleep. And jiva is not there because you do not know who you are, what is your caste, what is your job. Nothing you know. It is a state of ignorance. Ignorance means in that prajna state there is no awareness of anything. The mind and intellect are not functioning. So transcended means it is not functioning. That is all it means. If it is not functioning, or you have gone beyond, in your understanding you have gone beyond the mind and intellect, then what happens? There is no jiva. The reflecting medium is gone. The reflection also is gone. That is said there, tadvad jiva iha atmani. How the ghatakasha will merge with this mahakasha when the pot is broken. So also when the mind and intellect, which is the equipment, the upadhi ceases to be doing its function, then what happens? The experience of the jiva is not there. Jiva bhava. So in this respect, it is equivalent to ghatakasha. As much reality jiva has as ghatakasha has. As much reality only is said. So, but it's very difficult for us to accept this because we function in this world as a jiva only. Is it not? That it is not born, that it is not there, it is only an appearance. All this is okay for the book. But for me who is experiencing that jiva every moment of my waking life, for me it is very difficult to accept that. So he says here, ghata, the appearance seemingly ends. And then there is, if it merges with the Paramatma, then there is no jiva bhava. It apparently, the appearance seemingly ends. So, Yadhaikasmin ghatakashe. This also we did, alle? Yadhaikasmin ghatakashe. Rajo dhumadibhiryude na sarve samprayujyande tadvad jiva sukhadibhi. Just as ghatakasha does not become connected with the Sukha Dukkha's, connected with the Dhuma, Raja, etc. in the Ghata, same way, it remains, Ghatagasha remains immaculately pure in spite of the impurities that are there. Similarly, the jiva, when it is enjoying or suffering the Sukha Dukkha's, the question was why everybody is not, every jiva is suffering, one jiva is suffering, every jiva will be suffering. It doesn't have any connection. Just as the Ghatagasha never gets connected to the malinyam of the Ghata, so also their jiva is also not connected with the Sukha Dukkha's and other things. What all you are thinking of? Not connected. In other words, he says, in short, he says, mind and buddhi are the upadhis and Sukha Dukkhadis are experienced by them, does not affect the Atma. Atma is not affected. Here Atma is standing for the Ghatagasha. Okay, here what is this? The Jiva Bhava that is appearing in the body. It's not affected by the Sukha Dukkhas. But then why we are suffering? In that case you should have no. If it's not affected, we should not have any suffering. But we are suffering. For whom is the Sukha Dukkha then? He's saying, let me see, in this book, Dukkham Nagashasya Ghatagāshe. Sukha Dukkhas are for the mind. Because the malinyam is in the pot. You understand? Not in the Akasha. Similarly, the Sukha Dukkhas are for the mind. This for it may be for the body and that, but it is experienced by the mind. Sukha Dukkhas are experienced by the mind. Always. That is why it is a quality of the mind. But it doesn't affect the Atman. That's all he is telling there. And the next verse we have to do. Kasmin Ghatagāshe Rajodhuma ye sarve samprayujyande tadvad jiva sugadibihi. The mental experience of one is not the experience of all. So it cannot spread. It is not a communicable disease. When you say one jiva suffers, all other jivas. No, it doesn't. The mind of one person is not the mind of another person, and hence it doesn't suffer. Some, for the same reason, some may not become indifferent, the other may suffer deeply. Each one has different mind. That way, pollution belongs to the pot and the foul smell to the air, but nothing to the jiva. Then why jiva is undertaking to become sorry? We don't know. We identify with the mind and become sorrowful. Okay. Then continuing, he says, Rupa Karya Samakhyascha Vidyante Tatra Tatra Vai Akashasya na vedosti Tadvad jiveshu nirnayaha. So rupa, karya, rupa form, karya function, and samakhya in name. There is difference in all these three aspects between one person and another. In the rupa, in the karma that they do, in the actions they do, function that they do, and the name, they are all vidyante. And why do we put names for people? Right. Vyavahara yogyada. To gain the vyavahara yogyada, we name it. Otherwise, how to do vyavahar? If everybody is the same name. Even if in a class there are only 3 people of the same name, it becomes very difficult. Then the teacher gives some funny way of recognition. A1, A2, A3, like that. So, Vyavahara Yogyada is the reason why we name. Namakaranam has only. That is true. The child, before you named it, it had no name. But it is there. So it is not you are not the name. You are not the form. You are not even the actions that you are doing. All these are for Vyavahar. And he says here, Namakaranam is for Vyavahara Yogyam Vidyande Tatra Tatra Vai. And there is, they are different here and there. Tatra Tatra, here and there. Though there be difference here and there. Tatra Tatra Vai. Agashasya Nabhedo Asti. No difference at all in space, which is non-dual. That Mahakasha only is the pot space. In that pot space, there is no difference. You may have any name. It doesn't affect the pot space. The not affected, without the same is the truth, holding itself equally true in the multiple egos recognized. If you say it is multiple egos, let them be. But we have seen this in the previous verses, the dirt is different in different parts. But the Akasha is the same. And the Akasha, the pot space in it, is not affected in any way by the dirt in the pot. Is it clear? So, the experienced conclusion, it is the Nirnayam. Nirnayam means not that I am telling it for you from my own brain. It is said thousands of years ago by thousands of teachers and students. Guru Shishya Parampara had come to that Nigamanam. Nirnayam there means what? They have arrived at that conclusion. Experienced conclusion of the great masters is their Nirnaya. Nirnaya means Nischayena. With a determinate conclusion is that Tattva Jiveshu, the same is the truth holding itself equally true in the egos recognized in the various bodies. Every time the objector's fault looks so concocted, not exactly a difference. He has to argue. So he goes on arguing, making our head reel. That's what's happening here. Now he says, in the opinion of the objector, there is a variety of experiences. There should be a different Atman in each body. This is being negated. There is not a different Atman. Every body has only one Atman. One light alone illumines all the experiences of the different bodies at the level. Electricity alone? Exactly. So one Atman alone, Atmans are not many anyway, that is never questioned. Egatmavadam is not questioned. Only Eka Jivavadam is questioned. Another aspect of Egatmavada is Eka Jivavada. So that one thing, Atmanini, reality cannot be one and the same since the individual experience in life are always varied. So, this is the argument of the objector who says the reality cannot be one and the same in all bodies. It is the same, cannot be one and the same since the individual experiences in life are always varied. But here says, who is it that is illumining all their experiences is one and the same. See, in the cinema theatre, the projector, which is the light, which illumines all the pictures, the picture may be anything. Picture may be a tragedy or a comedy or a tragic comedy, all of which are illumined by that one light. Below, even in the Sadarshan, he says everything, the canvas, the picture in the canvas, the light which illumines the canvas, and the seer of that picture. Everything is illumined by the light of consciousness. Ekaha, Padaprakasha. Ekaha, that one is alone. So here he says, how can you say it is not one and the same? It is one and the same only. Whatever be the name, the function, the shape. The space in all parts is the same. The consciousness in all is one and the same. You cannot say there is conscious number 1, conscious number 2, consciousness number 2, 3. No. We cannot say. There is only one consciousness illumining. Sarvavyapi consciousness is illumining every experience in every body. Who enjoys but is not affected by what it experiences. It is not affected. So what we say is, it illumines, but who is feeling the joy or sorrow of all these experiences? Usually the mind, which the ego arrogates to itself. How does it happen? The mind is having sukha dukkha's and the ego says, I am happy, I am so sad. But Atman is in no way affected by what the mind goes through. It is a bother of the mind, not mine, like that. Rupa is the form, Karya is the function, Akhya, Samakhya is the Nama. The space in all is one and the same, though the forms, names and functions may differ. Similarly, in individuals, the Atman is one and the same, though the experiences of the various people are different. You cannot identify with that. You cannot say there are so many Atmas and so many Jivas. We cannot say. The one Atma alone is experiencing through every instrument, like the one electricity is giving us all these comforts. You cannot say you made special electricity for some country. You may say also sometimes, but it is not true. Electricity in its basic form is only one. This doubt is answered in that this is the doubt of the Purva Pakshi, and the answer is given. Reality, when we view reality through the spectroscope of the mind, only all problem starts. Perceiver of the pluralistic world is the ego and not the reality. This you must underline and keep, because who is the real perceiver? Not the reality, but the ego. The upadhi is what is experiencing. If the reality is experiencing everybody's joys and sorrows, your argument is correct. But it is not the reality which is. If the pot space is experiencing all the malinyam, then you can say it's different in different pots. But that is not the case. Perceiver of the pluralistic world is the ego and not the mind, and not the ego. Not the reality. Ego is the phantom that has risen up when consciousness beams itself out through the mist of the mind. Either spirit and a combination of spirit and matter. Mind is matter. Consciousness is the spirit. So when the spirit, and maybe today Gurudev will say, when the matter enters into unholy wedlock with the spirit, what will happen? A bastard child is born, and he is called ego. Understand? That ego arrogates to himself all the experiences, all the sukha dukkhas, all everything. I. Keep on. Okay. So, the different parts made out of the same mud may look different among themselves in form, function and name, and yet we all know that none of them has an experience apart from the mud. Parts, by whatever name you may call it, to whatever purpose we may empty them and employ them, and in whatever shape we may make them, none of them can exist even for a second without its essential nature, the mud. So that is why Chandogya says, Mrideva Satyam. Of all the parts, the reality of all the parts is its upadana karanam and not the absolute. Mrideva Satyam. What Satyam? No. Is it the Satyam? Clay also will change, With reference to the pots, the clay is the upadana karanam. With reference to clay? Brahman is the Satyam. Ultimate Satyam is the reality. But with reference to clay, it is one of the Panchamahabhutas. And with reference to the Panchamahabhutas, Brahman itself manifested as the Panchamahabhuta. See, Vedanta insists that there was no creation, there was only manifestation. The unmanifest Brahman manifested as the five elements, manifested as the Avyakta, etc., etc., etc. You know the Srishti theories. So, ultimate Satyam is always Brahman. But a relative Satyam is the mud. Immediate cause is the mud. But real cause is not even mud. The existence comes from the higher. So that is what he says here, that none of them has an existence apart from the mud. Just now, pots, by whatever name you may call it, to whatever purpose we may employ them, and in whatever shape we may make them, none of them can exist even for a second without its essential nature. They are born of mud, do exist in mud, and when destroyed shall merge back into the mud. These pluralistic forms, names and functions of the mud pots may give us an idea of plurality with regard to their forms, etc. But we all know for certain, why I am reading this is a Bahujiva Vada is being but we all know for certain that as far as the space in each one of them is concerned, there is an eternal oneness which can never be limited. The difference is only in the upadhi, but not in the space that it occupies. The space of the spittoon is itself the space of the Ganga pot. The space in the spittoon is not different from the space in the Ganga Jal pot. So also Ganga Kalasha, as far as space is concerned, it is one without a second. There is no plurality whatsoever. So, after so much argument, he says, there is no plurality. What are you seeing? The one without a second. All these pots are nothing but Brahman in different forms. Ultimately, if you take the immediate cause, they are all the pots are made up of clay. But we are not talking about the upadana karanam. That which makes the pot space is same in every pot. The pot itself is different. Its shape is different. Its name is different. Its use is different. Is it not? The little pot, big pot, pitcher, jug. So many varieties of pots. So their name is different, shape is different, everything is different. But what is not different? The space. Similarly, the individuality that you see in each one of us is different, but the Atman, the self which illumines them all, is one and the same. Egatma Pratyam only is emphasized. As they pointed out, it is Egatma Pratyam, one Atma alone is illumining all the pots. Okay? Have you agreed? Yes. If you don't agree, then you can sit here till 9 o'clock today. I don't mind. Tomorrow also. That is how Gurukula Sampradayam, it is like that. You go on arguing until you come to a conclusion in those olden times. Ayyo, adella mudiyad. One day Gurudev got angry with the students because he went to the temple and saw only few students were there to do the Vedic chanting. At 4:30 we have to be in the temple for the Vedic chanting. And there is no escape from all that. So, accidentally he went there and he saw out of the 40 odd students there were only 10 or something. Very few were. He got so wild with them and he said, come to the class. And he went and the students had to follow him. They all followed him. They went to the Saraswati Nilaya and sat there. And Gurudev went on taking the class, marathon class. Never ending, no breakfast. Punishment. No breakfast and class. Class. He has the stamina, but do the students have the stamina? He took the whole day class. No breakfast, no lunch. And because they were so frightened, they just didn't protest in any way. Went on taking class. And then in the end, he left them in the evening. Then he called the cook and said, make a sumptuous dinner for them. After all, the fatherly figure that he was feeling sorry for the children. Okay. Same way, so too the reality behind the multiple jivas, ever eternal and non-dual, whatever be the form, whatever be the the conditions in which they are living, in spite of their different experiences in life, the reality behind all the jivas is one and the same. Only this point you don't have to learn all these arguments. This point should become, everything is happening in the experience of that one and non-dual reality. Every experience is based on that. Philosophy is not a mere view of life. It is supported by direct experience, not a mere thought flow. In West, it is a thought flow. That is the difference between Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy. It's a mere thought flow, and you tell everybody. But in India, it is also not a mere thought flow. It is supported by direct experience by the great masters. And what is their experience? This never changes. That which is in fact, who is experiencing? The ultimate Pramatra is only the Atman, the self. But direct experience is not there for the Atman. Atman makes use of the instruments to experience. Or whatever you are gaining out of them is only due to electricity. That alone is the truth of it all. Similarly, that one non-dual Brahman is behind all our physical, mental, intellectual experiences in this world. It is direct, it is not merely thought flow, means it is not merely an intellectual jugglery. Go on talking. It should also be supported by Anubhavam. It should be my Anubhavam before I can accept it. It is my Anubhavam that way, says Gaudapada here. The illumining factor, the life principle in us all, whether we be criminals or sages, is ever one. That is not fair. Then why we are doing criminal actions? If Paramatma is the basis of all our experiences, criminalistic tendencies or saintly action, ever one the same eternal truth, which I cannot, samoham sarvabhudeshu, didn't make a difference. Only I will be only in the saintly hearts, he did not say. But he said one thing, that only saintly people can know me, can see me. He did not say I am not there. Did he? He is there. But you cannot see unless you are saintly, unless your heart is pure. Who are all these criminals, misguided fellows? And how do they get their heinous actions? How do they get the power for that actions? The same Paramatma expressing through the criminal mind makes criminal actions possible. Expressing through a saintly person blesses the whole world. Just like electricity. Expressing through the bulb, you get light. Expressing through the fan, you get the air. Expressing through the fridge, you get cold. Expressing through the heater, same thing, same electricity. In the same way. And expressing through the electric chair, you get death. Expressing through the electric chair, what do you get? It doesn't make a difference who is good, who is bad. that which is beyond good and bad. I tell myself this is good, this is bad. I myself is neither good nor bad. I understand this is good, this is bad. But I myself, the real I, is beyond good and bad. We can't accept all these things, but that is the truth. It's always easy to accept the untruth, but it's not easy to accept the truth. So he says here, and why should he help these criminals? We are always thinking that Paramatma is like us, one individual, helping the wicked fellows. Whatever you want. But what you do, what results it brings, you only will have to. I am not there then. I am not a participant in your joys and sorrows. I give you the strength to do a good or bad. They are not bothered. I'll give you the power. Now, if you do good, you become a Mahatma. Always you are only thinking good things, doing good things, you become a Mahatma. If you do wrong things, you suffer. He is telling the policeman story I used to say. The policeman and the criminal prayed in the Ganesha temple, you be with me, O Lord, I am going to break that house. And I should succeed. All that he prayed. So he broke the house and went in and was in the process of taking away all the things. When something, the policeman also said, today I have not caught a single criminal. Now my boss will shout at me. So he also prayed to the Lord. Praying to the Lord and all are Arthavadas, but he also must have invoked that power of action in you. And he was also thinking, if only I can. So as he was going through near that house, he saw some unusual movements in that house and he caught the thief and put him in the jail. So, if you ask Bhagavan, what you have let me down at the right time. If the criminal says, he says, you only asked me to help to do the action which you did, but the result is your own. You can do. You can go to the jail. So I can't. The poor Christians, they did not know what to do in such a case. So they thought, how can God be helping the wicked and criminal and evil-minded people? So they thought and said, God did not help him. And they invented Satan. They invented what? Satan. Whatever. Which is very funny. Who created Satan then? Instead of Indians had no such problem. They never created Satan. And that Satan has created lot of trouble for the Padri. How to explain it? You understand? Yeah, he says, he doesn't care what you do. He has given you the freedom. As a human being, you are given reasoning. You are the roof and crown of creation. So, I am giving you what? The ability to do or not to do. Kartum, agartum, anyatha kartum. Yeah, I give you the permission. And if you do not choose wisely, a choice is given to us. No animal has choice. No bird has any choice. It has to live in the world in its own programmed life. It's a programmed life. It has no choice. Instinctively it has to live. Whereas the human being has a choice. And if you misuse the choice, then you suffer. What can I do? Even now I don't hate you, says the Lord. I am waiting for you to come back. Such is the Suhrdam Sarvabhodana. How beautifully Gita says, I am the Suhrd. I am the well-wisher of all beings. This aspect of God is very difficult to accept. We want to have a clear-cut division. God is good, and there should be a Satan, which unfortunately our rishis never produced. So we don't know who is doing all these evil things. Your own mind. Your own desire. Avidya, kama, karma. This is what the root cause of all evils. And hence he says here, the difference from individual to individual is only the difference in their mental compositions and intellectual abilities. Once we have transcended the mind and the intellect, the experience of reality is one and the same to all. Because that which is beyond the mind and intellect is only one undivided akhanda bodha. That alone is there. Once detached from its adjuncts, so too the pot space realizes its oneness with the outer space. So too, once this pure consciousness in us gets itself detached from its seeming identifications with the mind, body and intellect, realizes itself. So simple it reads. What should I do then? I should not identify with the body, mind and intellect. Awaken to the true you, the consciousness, which never differentiated in different forms. One and the same thing. I alone am there. In the beautiful verses are there in the Gita, that who does wrong actions, they also do in my power only, in my light only. They cannot even lift their little finger unless I help them. So the question may be, if in knowledge absolute there is neither the world nor different experiences, giving rise to the false conception of time, space, causality, plurality, etc. So the question may be asked now as to how we do know it. It's only a blind theory. So again, though, Purvavachi says, I don't believe all this. This is all cock and bull story. I don't believe all this. He says, it's only a blind theory of a mere poet philosopher, or is it pure romanticism of some weakling who wants to escape the hard realities of life? This doubt is cleared by the firm declaration of Gaudapada. What? With its expression Nirnaya. Nirnaya means it is firmly concluded. Come to the firm conclusion. Not I, great masters. The no teacher worth the name will take any credit to himself. He always points out Rishibir, Bahudagidam in the 13th chapter. Rishi. All the rishis have said that, not I. Krishna says that. And you can imagine. Okay. So now Nirnaya, this has been the final conclusion or estimate of all the great seers of the world who practiced this Vedantic discipline and had come to experience intimately their real nature, to be nothing but pure consciousness. And not bookworms who had written that. Those people who had experienced it within himself, within themselves. This oneness of the truth which illumines all our bosoms is the one and the same that they have experienced and has told the world. Nakashasya gadakasho vikaravayavau yatha naivatmanas sada jivo vikaravayavau tata. So, na akashasya gadakasho vikara avayavo yadha. The space in a pot is neither a product, evolved thing, something that is evolved. It's not a product nor a part of the all-pervading space. You cannot say it is an amsha of the total space. It is not something which is produced by space. The Ghatakasha is some type of a different, is a baby of the total space. No, it is not a part or a product. So also we cannot say that Atman the self has given birth to such small Atmans. It's a product. It's not a product. And then is it either it is not evolved nor a part of the all-pervading space. If Atman the self is the Akhanda Bodham, the Atman in you, in her, in him are all Akhanda Bodham only. It's not only a little piece of a Bodham. No. Tam Srishtva Tam Anupravishad. Upanishad says that having created these bodies, I have entered into it. As what? As myself. Not a part of me. Not that which is produced from me. Not a product of consciousness, but consciousness itself. In the consciousness, if you take the pot example a little more deeply, you will see there is only, the whole world is nothing but pure consciousness, is it not? Where did we know that? In the scripture it is said. What? Sarvatragam, Ajindyam, Avyaktam, all that is said. Sarvatragam. Okay? So the body has come out in that, just like the pot has come in the outer space. So this consciousness which is in you is not a product of the total Mahakasha. On the other hand, it is Mahakasha itself. Is there any doubt in this? No. It's the Mahakasha itself. So he says here, the space in a pot is neither an evolved effect nor a part of the all-pervading space. So too, the individualized ego, neither a modification, neither evolved nor a part. Nirvikaraha, Niravayavaha is neither evolved from the spirit nor is it a part of the spirit. It is not an amsham, it is not a product. So what is it that you are in you? The ever existing reality we are carrying within ourselves. It's shining from our own hearts. So Ramana Maharshi says, where is Brahman? Kridaya kuhara madhye. Very simply he said, he didn't tell all these arguments. In the cave of your heart is Brahman. Okay, that without any modification, without any parinamam, without any cutting it into parts and all, not a part, not a product, not a product. So, vikara avayavo yatha ghatakasha, in the ghatakasha, in the neither an evolved effect nor a part of the all-pervading space. Similarly, the ego, naiva atmanas sada jivo vikara avayava tatha. So vikaram means what? Modification, change. And change is always dvaidam. Dvaidam is not there. Avayava, vishishtat. Without any parts. It is akhandam. Akhanda ananda avabhodham is Paramatma. And it is not different in the Atman, in the self. There is no parinama when space becomes spot space. No modification. No change. Avayavam is not there means no change is there. Nothing is there. Only the same space, which is all-pervading space. In that one, Ubadhi has come. And that Ubadhi, if you put something, what is inside also is what is outside. On the earth, you kept one pot upside down, let us say. What is inside that pot? What is outside only is inside. This doesn't require any argument. But why they are going on arguing, I don't know. Okay. All right. Have you understood that? So he says here, reality, a part of the homogeneous, all-pervading, there cannot be any distinction in it, and as such, the individualized ego is in no sense a distinct part of the Supreme. It is that Supreme itself, individualized. Nor can we say that in the reality there happened a change or a modification. No. As a result of which the pluralistic egos have risen up. That also we can't say. We all know that if anything modifies to be something else, it has to die itself and thus change its original nature. Niravayavatvam means Avayava is not there in the Atman because Atman has Sota, Nasham is not there in the Atman. There is no death by known means. Is not there in the Atman. So it cannot be. When we die, what is dying? Vishishtatattvam. Hence, there is no parinama when space becomes part space. It didn't become. That becoming is all a wrong word. Then what? When the space appeared as part space. So it is only an appearance. The Atman appeared as the Jiva. It is only an appearance. Hence, no cause and effect. Space is not in pot, but the pot is in space. The space is not in the pot. The pot is in the space. That is, when we start learning Vedanta, first the teacher says, where is Bhagavan? Where is Paramatma? And then like parrots, we will all say, inside. Where is Paramatma? Inside. Then teacher teaches for some more time. After that he says, all pervade. Paramatma is sarvatraga. Everywhere, Paramatma only. Now we ask a question, where is Paramatma? Paramatma is not in me. I am in Paramatma. Because it is Sarvavyapi. Oh, but you said that day that Paramatma is inside and outside. Okay. Inside and outside means what? Everywhere, Sarvavyapi. Then again he taught the students and came up to Mandukya. So, where is the Paramatma now? Not outside also. not inside also. Then I had the identification I. Then you said it is inside. Then when you came to understand the Paramatma is all over, then you said, no, I am in the Paramatma because I am small bubble and Paramatma is all pervading. So I must be swimming in the Paramatma. You understand? Now the teacher says, it's both inside and outside. So where is Paramatma now? Neither inside nor outside. Then, in fact, it is not in me or outside me, it is me. What is the ultimate understanding? It is me. Okay? So that is the process of teaching Vedanta. First we keep on telling you, it is inside. Look in, do, all meditation. What looking in? Not inside. Is it outside then? Not outside also. Not that it is not outside. That also must be said. Not that it is not inside. Both inside and outside. But there is no inside or an outside. Because it is me. If I am standing as a separate entity only, there is outside and inside. I am not separate from that. So also here in the pot, what did I tell you? Pot can, hence no cause. Space is not in pot, but the pot is in space. The second level we the pot is in space. Okay? So whatever is inside the pot is also space alone. Okay. Neither a modification nor a part, nirvikara, niravaya atma. We have seen part can, if it is a part, it will die. Part can be made a part. Only one A you add. Part means, part can be made into a part. Okay, English grammar, Vyakaranam, that is. That which is a part can be a part also. The destruction is there. Dissociation and association is not possible in consciousness. That you understood it long ago. Golden ornaments, water in bubbles, snow, wave, etc. Yatha bhavati balanam gaganam malinam malaihi tadha bhavatya buddhanam atma malino malaihi. So, yadha bhavati bala, just as the sky appears to be the pure sky, appears to be contaminated for the balas, for the little children. They say, what is that? Cloud they think is a malinyam. And they say, their hair is, I can see a castle, I can see this, malinaihi, all types of ignorant children sees the pure Akasha as soiled and dirty. That which is pure, they see it as dirty. Because if there are clouds or if there is, mist, all they say, Akasha is fully covered. By what? By the mist. Mist is thousands of feet down. Cloud is also, when you go in the aeroplane, you will see the clouds are all, when we are going through the clouds in the aeroplane. That means cloud is not in the real sky, the outer space. never know. The balas, they think like that all attributes are nirguna, akasha. In that, they see all types of forms, color, but not the children. So, tatha bhavat abuddhanam. Abuddhas are equivalent to children. They have got the brain of a child only. That is why they are called bala. The Abuddha means ignorant people. Abuddhanam, nothing but impurity and multiplicity we see. Who? Ajnas. Atmavi malino malaihi, and they regard, similarly the Atman also is regarded by them, ignorant as covered by impurities. So they say Atman has this fault, that fault. The faultless nirguna, nirvishesha, nirakara Atman, they find all types of qualifications. Malinyam, they see. Children, not understanding the relative positions of the clouds in the heavens and the clear blue sky, gaze up from where they stand, and in their immature point of view, they superimpose the clouds on the sky and consider them to be patches on the sky and think that the clouds are the dirt of the sky. The patch. Why do you think that it is malinam? Because clear sky is not there. All patches. So must be dirty only. Not having the discrimination to understand the mental experiences of man as are not in the Atman. In his ignorance, man superimposes the qualities of his mind upon the Atman. And they come to own up every experience as the experience of the Atman. Don't we do that every moment of our life? I am tired. Why? Who is tired? I am not tired. But we are not thinking and talking. We are only talking. In that total identification, you think the body has all the, I am hungry, I am thirsty if you are identified with the body. I am sad, bad, glad, all that words we use if you are identified with the mind. Is it not? Or I am a communist, a capitalist, that, this and all. If you are identified with your intellectual convictions. So at various levels you are identified. And in that Nirmala Atma, you superimpose the qualities which belong to the BMI. And you find so many Atman is unhappy. I am unhappy. How you can be unhappy? All experiences belong to the mind and intellect. Supported by Jiva. Jiva identifies with this mind and intellect. Jiva also becomes a experiencer. You understand? But really speaking, Jiva is not the experiencer. It is the mind which experiences Sukha Dukkhadi. There is little thinking you will have to do. How does Jiva get that? We always say Jiva only experiences Sukha Dukkhas. Jiva only is bound. Jiva only wants to realize. Is it not? In other words, Jiva has totally identified with the mind and intellect. And then becomes all this miserable Jiva. He has taken the charge of the whole muck, baggage of the mind and intellect onto himself. If at all. The pure Atman he is. But he says, I am miserable. How can Ananda Swarupa say that? And they say, some of them go to other, even higher extreme, and they say, Atman, I. Who are you? I am Atman. Okay. So, like that they will say. And what is your problem? I am very sad. What do you understand? I as individuality saying that we can understand. But I as Atman saying it, then what? You don't know who you are. Finally, you are in a confused state of mind. That's all. And we are doing it every minute. I have a headache. I am hungry. At least when you say that, remember always, no, not I, but the mind, but the upadhis, the body. For all of which you have to live a conscious, awareful life, is it not? You must be always aware. Huh? What am I saying? And you will see your identification is wrong, the Atman is happy, unhappy, etc. Atman is pure consciousness which illumines both happiness and sorrow, and we have found out what that which illumines both sorrow and happiness cannot be either of them. Cannot be either of them. He is beyond sorrow and happiness. Atman is not the light or the darkness. That means, what is Atman? Tamasa parastad, remember the Vedas. Beyond light and darkness. Because the unique light, in the 13th chapter, Krishna says, no, not only that I am a unique light, he says there. Jodisham abitat jodi. I am the jodi of those things which are jodis. In other words, I can know, the consciousness can know this is light. Consciousness also know, look outside, that is darkness. So one who knows both light and darkness is Jodisham Abhijodi. The phenomenal lights are 5 in number. The electricity, sun, moon, stars, Agni. Lightning, it comes. Agni. Electricity we say, Vidyut. Okay, because lightning is nothing but electricity. One lightning, if you can find the way to control it, we can have electricity for the whole country for 10 years, I believe. That's what they say, the scientists. But who has got the guts to go near that lightning? So much electricity it contains this. Okay? Now what is the uniqueness about Atman? Atman is, can know light. It knows this is light now. It also knows this is darkness. No light in the world, the phenomenal lights can never know darkness. That is the difference. That is why it is called Jodishamabi Ajodihi. It cannot know, because every time sun comes, he was wanting to meet Miss Darkness. Gurudev says like this, Miss Dark, it must be Miss, he said. Why? Because electricity, ikaranda strilingam. That is how he will say. Ikaranda strilingam. So it must be Miss Darkness. And he said, I want an introduction to Miss Electricity. So everybody was trying to make both of them meet, but they were not meeting. They cannot meet. But every time the sun comes, darkness goes. So they never met. They are still trying for an intro. Hence, the 13th chapter says, Jodishamabi Tajodi. Atman is beyond light and darkness. So, if I can recognize light and darkness separately, I am other than both. You understand this? I am other than both. And hence it is called a unique light which illumines both happiness and sorrow, and in the same way it illumines happiness and sorrow, joy and pleasure and pain, labha and alabha, jaya and apajaya, victory and failure, everything it illumines. All the opposites are illumined by the Atman. Dundva adidam, that which is beyond the opposites. That which knows both opposites, whereas there is no other thing in this world which can know the opposites. That is why. Dundvaditam gagana sadrisham in that poem. The sun illumines the mountains, the rivers, the jungles and the cities. But in the sun there is neither the mountain nor the river nor the jungle nor the city. That which illumines stands apart from the thing illumined. That is why we say it is beyond darkness and light. So, illumining factor lights up the mental conditions with its awareness, but none of the mental vrittis are there in it. I know mind is very sad today, and I am not worried. Why? It's not my sorrow, first of all. Secondly, I know it will pass. I am not worried. But what we cannot do and we are not doing is separating these two. That we are not able to do. That the experiences that I am knowing, I am illumining, belongs to the mind and intellect. When I identify with those experiences, I am a samsari. When I don't identify with them, I am a jnani. And I don't know why it is difficult. Once you understand this, why it is difficult, when sorrow comes, you say, not for me. I am different from the equipments. I am different. It's not my experience. I am the illuminator of all experiences, but no experiences belong to me. This understanding is called knowledge. The sun and he says here, Atman illuminated lights up. Still we identifying ourselves with our body, mind and intellect, raise in ourselves the concept of the ego myth, the perceiver, feeler, thinker. It is a ego myth. And the mental vrittis are there in it, and raise in ourselves the concept of this ego. And then what happens? The perceiver, feeler and thinker entity comes into existence. And you become an ego to have the qualities of the very medium through which we are looking at it. So, children looking at the world through the yellow glass sees everything yellow. Or in a blue glass, the whole world is blue. We looking through the prism of the mind see the whole world as very, very colorful. You understand? Not only we see colors, we also see all the experiences is my experiences. This is, or we look through the glasses called likes and dislikes, and we divide the world. That which I like, that which I don't like. All this mischief we are doing upon the object. This is the answer to an objection that could be raised against the assertion in the last stanza that Atman is ever pure and non-dual. An objectionist might raise a cry that reality cannot be either, for we are seeing around and about us nothing but impurity and plurality. Gaudapada answers this doubt by revealing to us where exactly is the mistake in our perception and how we can, in and through the impurity and the multiplicity, perceive and recognize the non-dual and the ever pure Ananda, Atman. What we see is all filth and dirt and okay. But in and through that, like a fond father, in and through the dirt in which the child was playing in the mud and from top to bottom he is dirty. But in and through all those appearances, he recognizes this is my child. Is it not? And with all that dirty, father comes from office, carries the baby and all his shirt, everything will be gone. Why? He recognizes the child. Similarly, we have to learn to recognize the pure Atman in us. Now, become impure with the contact with the world of BMI and OET. Recognizing this is called realization. We'll stop there.